There is one question that almost everyone asks themselves at least once in life. Why do some people start from ordinary beginnings, yet after only a few years, they manage to build great wealth, while many others work hard for decades and still live under constant financial pressure? Most people believe the answer is luck, being born into a wealthy family, or having a genius mind for business. But if you study the ideas of Machiavelli and observe how truly wealthy people play the game, you will realize something very different. Getting rich is not as complicated as most people think. The hardest part is not making money. The hardest part is letting go of the false beliefs society has taught us since childhood. From a young age, we are told that if we study hard, get a stable job, work diligently, and save money, our lives will eventually improve. That advice is not wrong, but it only helps you survive. It does not help you become truly wealthy, because the rich and ordinary people are playing two completely different games. Ordinary people sell their time in exchange for money. Rich people use money to buy assets that create more money. That is the first major difference. You can work 12 hours a day, but you can never work 30 hours in a day. Income from labor always has a limit. But assets do not sleep. A rental house still creates cash flow while you are resting. A business still sells products while you are asleep. Shares in a company can still increase in value as the economy grows. YouTube video can still generate income years after it has been uploaded. Wealthy people understand that time is a limited resource. That is why they try to own things that can work for them. Machiavelli emphasized that power does not come from the strength of one individual. Power comes from the ability to control resources. Money works the same way. The person who earns more money is not always the person who becomes rich. The person who controls cash flow is the one who wins. That is why many people with high salaries are still constantly stressed about money. Meanwhile, some people with ordinary incomes quietly own many income-producing assets. Another common mistake is believing that getting rich requires a genius idea. In reality, it does not. Most wealthy people do not create something completely new. They simply solve an old problem in a more effective way. A coffee shop does not need to invent coffee. A clothing store does not need to invent clothes. YouTube channel does not need to invent the internet. What they do is serve customers better, faster, or in a more attractive way. Value always creates money. If you can help many people solve a problem, money will naturally find its way to you. That is the law of the market. Another principle of Machiavelli is to see the world as it truly operates, not as you wish it to be. This is extremely important in finance. Many people make decisions based on emotion. They buy a car to prove they are successful. They buy a new phone because all their friends have one. They borrow money to organize a luxurious wedding. But wealthy people ask a different question. Will this expense help me make more money, or will it make me poorer? That simple question can completely change a person's financial future. Every dollar is like an employee. You can spend it once, or you can invest it so it works for you forever. Rich people do not see money as something to spend. They see money as a tool, just like a carpenter would not sell all of his tools just to enjoy a better dinner. Wealthy people do not easily sell the assets that create cash flow for them. Another secret that makes getting rich simpler than you think is the power of time. Many people underestimate compound interest. If your assets grow by 10% every year and you stay consistent for many years, the final result will be far greater than you imagine. This is not only true with money. It is also true with knowledge. It is true with relationships. It is true with personal reputation. Learn a little more every day. Improve one skill every week. Build one more income stream every month. After a few years, the distance between you and most people will become enormous. Not because you are smarter, but because you are more consistent. Machiavelli understood the power of accumulated advantage very well. He knew that victory rarely comes from a single battle. It comes from hundreds of small decisions made at the right time. Money works the same way. No single investment will turn you into a millionaire overnight, but thousands of correct financial decisions can. One interesting thing is that wealthy people usually do not try to impress others. They try to impress their balance sheet. While many people buy things that make them look rich, rich people buy assets that make them truly rich. That is the difference between appearance and reality. You do not need to look successful. You need to become successful. There is a simple rule. If your assets grow faster than your expenses, you are moving closer to financial freedom. If your expenses grow faster than your assets, you are moving in the wrong direction. It is that simple. Another reason many people never become rich is that they keep waiting for the perfect moment. They say they will invest when they have more money. They say they will start a business when they have more experience. They say they will begin after all the risks disappear. But the perfect moment does not exist. Machiavelli believed that fortune favors those who dare to act while others hesitate. That does not mean being reckless. It means preparing well enough, then starting. In the world of finance, the speed of learning is often more important than trying to be perfect. Fail early, learn fast, adjust quickly. That is how most successful entrepreneurs grow. Another thing few people realize is that wealthy people know how to say no. They reject opportunities that do not fit their goals. They reject unnecessary expenses. They reject relationships that only waste their time. Every time you say no to something unimportant, you are saying yes to a bigger goal. Time is capital. Focus is capital. Health is capital. Getting rich is not only about accumulating money. It is about accumulating every resource that can create long-term value. Finally, remember that money is only the result. Value is the cause. If every day you become more useful, more trustworthy, and more skilled, your income will tend to grow over time. Do not chase money. Chase the ability to create value. Money will follow value. That is a rule that has repeated itself throughout history. Why is getting rich simpler than you think? Because the core principles have never changed. Spend less than the value you create. Own assets instead of only owning things. Let money work for you. Stay consistent, compound growth. Take action instead of waiting. Accumulate value before expecting rewards. It sounds simple, but those simple things are exactly what very few people have the patience to do. And that is also why the gap between the rich and the poor keeps growing. Perhaps the secret of wealth has never been hidden inside a magical formula. It lies in repeating the right principles for many years, even when you cannot see the results immediately. That is how great fortunes are built, not by magic, but by small, correct, and consistent decisions made every single day.